Hello, another week. I can't believe another week is gone. It's the same, we're in lockdown. The weeks are flying by. Hello, I hope you're all okay. I hope you've had a good week. I just can't believe how fast it's gone. Another week and we're back doing a lovely live video with lots of you watching. Before I start today, and while you're all getting your bits together, I thought I'd just have a chat with you for a bit really and say hello, and that I do hope you're all okay and you're managing in the lockdown. Feels like it's been forever this time. I don't know about you. But what we are going to create today is this lovely insect, but it's a different way of colouring. So if you're not really into, fine colouring, I'm just going to give you a little tip, a nice kind of abstract tip of how to add some colour to your drawings without colouring them in. But before I do that, we will need, so if you haven't already got everything together, don't worry, because I'm going to have a little chat with you for a little while first. But all you're going to need today is a pencil, some paper. I've got some on my board already. I'm using some kind of card, but if you're just using pencil crayons today, plain paper is absolutely fine. You can even use coloured paper actually, if you wanted to, but you don't have to. I'm going to be using pencil crayons, just normal bog standard pencil crayons, and I'm also going to use watercolours, but you don't have to. So again, I try and do these nice free classes for people, for children, one, to keep us going, to keep us entertained, and also I try and choose activities that don't need a lot of resources, so that you can literally just grab stuff that you've got home and just come and join me. You could always watch the YouTube video later if you want to, because I've got this YouTube channel where I'm putting all the videos, so you could always do it later. But they're all the things, so it's really nice and simple. We're going to do some nice fine drawing today, and I'm going to do it based around insects. Now, my little girl, she's learning about non-fiction at the minute, so it's perfect for her home learning. But you don't have to. You could do this drawing about absolutely anything. So you could turn your artwork into anything. Just use the ideas and the stages that we're doing, and then you can do whatever you want to do. So before I start, I've also got my donation page. These classes are completely free, but as I say every week, to keep us inclusive for everyone and to keep the building going, and just to make sure that when I do reopen, classes can stay at low prices. I've just got a little donation PayPal page there, which you can donate just a very small amount if you like to, or a very large amount if you'd like to, just to keep us all going really. But you don't have to. It's a free class, but if you'd like to make a donation, because lots of people say to me, oh, how much are they? They are completely free, but if you'd like to make a donation, then I do have a PayPal page that you can do that too. I'd also like to, me and Charisse, who works with me here, we have been blitzing our kits to keep you all entertained. We have Valentine's pottery, we have, and Valentine's, this is good as well, I love this. We were doing these at Christmas. These are a clay kit for two, so you can pretend you're Demi and Patrick. The adults will know what I mean on that one. Clay kits for two, so you can enjoy, especially if you're watching the Pottery Showdown as well at the moment. You can try and recreate what they do every week. But also we've got some activities for children. We've got a Play-Doh box, which is lovely because it's got lots of Play-Doh and a play mat and things in there to keep the children entertained. We've also got for preschoolers, you get 2 storybooks. This one's got Penguin and Bright Stanley and the Cave Monster. And then what I've done is I've planned a load of craft activities based around those books, and then put all the craft materials inside for you to have a play with. We've also got, for children, these absolutely gorgeous, Charisse has been working on these, they're so lovely, sculpt paint and grow. So you can grow some crests, make a monster world, make a fairy kingdom, whatever you want to do. So we've got lots of kits at the moment. Do take a look at our online shop, and hopefully it will keep you busy, especially during the lockdown weekends when there's nothing open. Let's see who we've got. Oh, hi, Joan. Nice to see you and Alice again. And we've got Eliza and Callie. Oh, fantastic. Hi, Christine. And, oh, Poppy. Hi, Flick. Hi, Poppy. And Lucas and, oh, Lucas. Fantastic, from Browick. Nice to see you. Nice to see we've got some Browick people on here again. I know you're in our videos have been popped into your home learning, which is lovely, so you can join us. You don't have to join us live, you can do it at any point, but please do. Last week I only got about 3 or 4 photos of the work that the children created. Please do send me some photos, so I absolutely love seeing the children's work. So even if it's not on the day, if they don't complete it today, it doesn't matter, send me them later. Oh, hello Noah and Arabella, nice to see you. Nice to see everyone. So hopefully you've got everything you need for today's activity. We are creating these lovely bugs. I've done a ladybird, we've got a dragonfly, or this one, which is what I'm going to show you how to do today, this lovely beetle here. Now, as I say, this is perfect if you're not a big fan of colouring in, because we're going to add colour, but we don't have to be precise with it. We're just literally going to use shape and create lots of blocks of shapes. First of all, before we even do any drawing, we're just going to create lots of blocks of shape on our paper here. Hi, Henry. So we're going to do in pencil crayon or felt pencil. You could do it in felt tip actually, but I've just got pencil crayon and watercolors. So I'm going to start with some pencil crayon. So hopefully you've got all your resources ready. If you haven't, I think you can pause the video. You can certainly rewind it if I'm going too quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to start quite abstractly, and abstract just means breaking down things into simple shapes and sometimes making it look a bit odd and moving those shapes and kind of taking something that we know really well and moving it around to kind of change it and make it look a bit strange. So we're going to do the background colours first. Now this one I did with watercolour. I'm going to do a mixture today, but you can just stick with pencil crayon if you want to. If you want to get the paints out and you want to do some watercolour, that's fine. You just need your water pot, a paintbrush, and I've just got a palette of watercolours. So you could do that as well. Hi, year one. Hello. Hey, we're all okay. So what we're going to do, just some simple shapes in different orientations. Orientation just means like different places, different angles. You can turn them upside down, turn them around, lots of different shapes. So I'm going to start with a simple red circle. You could do anything. So please, if you're feeling confident, just random shapes. Might put an oblong in here, and we're going to colour that in. You could even do some shading if you want, with starting light and getting darker, or starting dark and getting lighter, whatever you want to do. But we're just going to create a colourful background, because this is a really nice way of presenting artwork, especially drawings, without colouring them in. We don't have to do the same colour. We can swap to a different colour, blues, for example. I'm going to put like a semicircle in there. Perfect for your maths. Art and maths, strangely, go together quite often. So we're just making some really bold, simple shapes. Just seeing, trying to colour and look at comments at the same time. So this piece today that we're doing, let's say it's perfect for any kind of topic that you've got at home or at school. it's a nice way of creating a background of colour. So we've got two very simple shapes, oh, three, sorry, circle, semicircle and oblong there, and I'm just going to keep going. So I'm going to try and cover this whole thing in these different shapes. You can do the same, take your time, relax. I always get so nervous about 10 minutes before I do these. I have no idea why, but it just suddenly like, oh, come on in a minute. So I'm just going to do, I might do in a strange shape here. I don't know whether you can see yellow very well. Whenever I do yellow, it doesn't come out very well, so I'm going to swap it to purple for you, so you can see it a bit better. It's also quite hard to colour vertically, so I might switch to my paint in a second. Hello, Thomas. So all I'm doing is creating some simple shapes in different colours. Now I'm going to swap to watercolour because one, it's a little bit faster, so you don't have to sit there and wait for me to colour them all in. But please stick to pencil crayon if that's all you've got, because it will work just as well. So all different shapes all over your paper here. So I'm switching to watercolour for speed purposes, but you don't have to. I'm going to mix on my palette a little bit of blue. I'm going to pop that in there. Might do it over the top of this one actually. Pencil crayon and watercolour go really well together. A bit like crayon as well, or pastels. I've almost got two blue semicircles here. And swap colour. Hopefully you can all see that. I'll just bring it a bit closer. So we're just filling our paper with shape. Oh, and the other thing, I mean, if you've got A4 paper, that's absolutely fine. Don't feel like you need to change it. I've got a smaller piece of paper today, but you could do this in any size. You can scale up and go big, or you can keep it this size, whatever you want to do. Put, can you see that? Yes, we'll do yellowy mustard colour here. Bring that down. The only thing with doing it with paint is we are going to have to wait for it to dry before we add any of our pencil detail, any of our drawing over the top. Going for a bit of green. I haven't got any green on there. So any colours you want to do. Really nice simple shapes. Just thinking what else to do on mine. I might do a little triangular kind of shape here. Oh, hi Willow! Isla is here, but she's in the back room today doing some... She's doing a puzzle. She's doing a puzzle. She was doing a rocket, and now she's changed to a puzzle. I'm just thinking, just looking at it, let's see. So I want all of the spaces, they don't need to be joined, so the shapes don't have to join each other, but we just want them dotted about. So if I show you again this one, it's the background bits that we're doing at the moment, all those basic shapes, or my ladybird there, With my ladybird, because ladybirds are black and red, I chose lots of different reds in pencil crayon on that one, and lots of oh, I might do another circle, and lots of circles as well. So just have fun. Really simple today. Although we're doing some drawing in a minute, it's a really nice, simple activity. I'm focusing on shape, which is what art is built up on. Shapes, lines, and then our colour. All those lovely elements of art. I'm just trying to think, I might put a little. So when I'm doing the watercolour, it doesn't even have to be precise. Oh, hi! She'll be very excited that you're here, Molly. Isla, do you want to just come and give the camera a wave because Molly's online? Ah. There she is. Hey, Molly.
And I heard you say Robert.
Yeah, Broica here. So just some nice simple shapes. So I'm doing this in watercolour because it's a bit faster and you don't have to watch me colour everything in, all the shapes in. But doing it in pencil crayon is absolutely perfect. You'll still get a lovely result. So keep going with it. I'm going to add a bit of orange. I might pop some at the top here. Oh, I quite like that look. It hasn't come out. My watercolour, it's gone kind of dry on my paper. It's got like a texture to it, which looks lovely. I'm actually going to leave that in. I'm not going to change it and colour it in even more. I'm just going to leave it as that nice texture. I'm also going to be a bit daring and put a bit of black in. And yeah, the bottom here. I'm going to add, because I'm doing watercolour, I'm going to add no more colour. I'm just going to add some water to make it fade. So it's going to be like a graduation of colour, darker at the top and getting lighter at the bottom. Shade, let that kind of bleed through. So if you're using paint today, you can have a go at that if you want to. And I just need, so I quite like this area because my insect is going to go over the top of this area. I just need something here. So I've just got this little spot here that I need to do. Oh, good. Oh, I'm glad Molly's happy. And say Isla is here. She just didn't want to join in today. She wanted to go and do something else, which is fine. And one more colour, or one more. Oh, actually, I might put another little dot down the bottom here. A circle. All these lovely 2D shapes. And one more, which is going to be red, because red is my favourite colour. I love red. And I'm going to do another semicircle, I think, just here. Ooh, mountains, interesting. So what we're doing, or what I'm doing, you might be doing something completely different, and that's fine. But what I'm doing is I'm just getting some colour in first, which is unusual because normally we draw something and then we colour it in. This is a different way of going about it. It just adds a different element. It looks lovely, and it just helps us to be a bit more creative and think outside the box a little bit. And also, it's nice, it's really speedy. So we've got all these lovely patterns and we've got this lovely shapes on here. I'm going to let mine dry. Wafted a bit. I'm going to let mine dry. And then what we're going to do is with pencil, you could do this straight away with a fine liner if you want to. But if you make a mistake with a fine liner, obviously you can't rub it out or anything like that. So I would go with pencil, and we're going to do a lovely insect. So I'm going to do this beetle that I found. And we're going to do some shading, and we're going to add some lovely shapes. But you don't have to do that. If you think, oh, you know what, don't like the beetle, that's fine. That's not a problem. You could do a ladybird. You could do an animal. Whatever you're up to at the minute. Somebody was saying they're doing mountains. That's absolutely fine, but just start with this as your base and then draw your mountains over the top. And you're just going to create a lovely piece of artwork which is colourful and uses shape and line. It'll be absolutely super. So, oh, thank you very much. Somebody has just donated. That's really kind of you. Thank you, whoever just donated. You really don't need to, but I do appreciate it. So thank you very much. So I'm going to, I know my phone's just gone, I'm live. I know, I'm here. So what we're going to do, hopefully the watercolour doesn't take too long to dry. It needs to be at least touch dry. So I'm going to start drawing now. So I've got my background, I've got my colours, and now we're going to do quite a detailed drawing. Now, if you don't want to copy me, that's absolutely fine. And it's going to be quite hard to copy me exactly with how we are. But you could grab any kind of book, any non-fiction book. You could do something that's, you could do a character from from one of your favourite stories. You could do something from a non-fiction story, like I was looking at non-fiction at the moment. You could do anything you like over the top. Okay, so we've got our background, our kind of abstract background.
Flower, fish.
Yeah, flowers, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to do a beetle. So I'm going to start with just breaking down the shape. So if you've got a reference photo or something that you want to draw, in front of you, try not to look at the picture as a whole, because then it gets a bit scary and you think, oh my gosh, I can't draw that, that's really scary. Don't do that. Break it down into simple shapes. So this whole process today is looking at shape. Okay, we're drawing in shape, we're colouring and painting in shape. So it's looking at art in the simplest of shapes. Even when you look out your window, or if you're in your house, if you look around, you might see, oh, well, there's loads of things in my house, you know, with the sitting room, there's the sofa, there's the telly, there's this. But break it down, the telly is just a rectangle, okay? And the sofa is made up of sections. So it's just breaking it all down. And that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to start my beetle. I'm going to use a little mark up here because this is where I'm going to start. So a little pointer. And then I want to bring my beetle down to a center point down here. Now, if you're doing insects like me, the thing that is really tricky with insects is they're very symmetrical. That means that they are exactly the same on one side as they are the other. So if you halve them, they are identical. So that's the tricky bit with doing insects, is keeping that symmetry, keeping the shape on one side exactly the same as the shape on the other. It's very, very hard, but just have a go. It doesn't matter. Just the more you practice, the better the better you'll do. So I'm going to start with a really nice, almost like a fountain shape for my beetle here. Can you see that line? I might have to bring it a bit closer for you. Let me just move all my stuff. I'm a little bit closer. There we go. Hopefully you can see my drawings now a little bit better. Although I've moved my stack, which won't help. There we go. So what I'm doing is I'm breaking down the shape of this beetle, trying to keep the symmetry. So I'm thinking about the middle line of my paper. Oh, my pencil just clicked. Now, if you want to, when you're drawing today, you could add some shading. So I'm going to show you some shading. There's lots of ways to shade. There is not just one way, okay? So the way that everyone assumes we shade is pressing down with our pencil hard to make a darker shade, and then gradually taking the pressure off our pencil to get a lighter shade. That is not the only way we shade. So the other way we shade, we can shade in little circles. Now I know that sounds a bit weird, but if I do tiny little, my friend Astra, who's an absolutely amazing artist, she's draws a lot of animals. She's even got a book and out, and she does this technique. So we do the circles close together and overlapping for darker areas, and then we do them a bit bigger and less overlapping where we want it to be lighter. So that's one way of shading. Let me bring that a bit closer for you so you can see. That's all in little circles. So not just where you, if I do it here, we can do shading like this. I'm even turning my pencil around just to get the dark, pressing hard, and then, oh, thank you, pressing hard and then gradually getting lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. That's one way of shading. But the other way of shading is tiny little circles like this, going round and round and round. And then the more we overlap them, the darker it is. And then the less we overlap them, the lighter it gets. I don't know whether you can see that. Hopefully you can. And this is how Astra builds her work up. This is an example of Astra's. And you're going to say, no, it's a photograph. It's not. She's incredibly good. That's my friend's drawing. I know. It's super duper. And that's always shading. Darker lines and lighter areas, and then also some white of the paper. It's very good. So there's one way. Here's another way. Another way of shading is what we call hatching. Hatching is lots of lines like this. You can overlap them for darker areas. So lots of lines, 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 lines. And then lighter pencil and lines further away for light. And then that's a third way of shading. A fourth way of shading, cross hatching, which you might have heard, especially if you're in Key Stage 2, Key Stage 3. Cross hatching is where you go one way with your lines and then you cross it, so you go the other way. That's another way of shading. There's multi-hatching, where you just go one way, go another way, go another way, go another way, keep going in different directions. So that's number 5. So all these different ways of shading your work. So there isn't just one way. There's lots of different ways.
Smudging.
Yeah, you can smudge as well with your finger, especially if you've got a nice soft pencil. You can use your finger and smudge to get softer as well. So lots of different ways of shading. And I'm adding shading on mine. And the reason I'm adding shading is so that it doesn't look flat. It looks like there's a slight curve to it. It gives it an element of 3 dimensions. So rather than a 2D beetle, it gives it as if it's raised slightly. So that's what shading does. It gives it a different shape. So I'm using shading around this part of my beetle here, which you can do too if you want to. Or you can just do a nice line drawing, a 2-dimensional. If you're pushing yourself today and fancying a challenge, have a go at some shading. So I'm ignoring the pattern at the back, and I'm just building up my drawing. Trying to keep, it's hard to do my stag beetle so that it's, I don't know whether this is a stag. In May time we have stag beetles in the garden, and my cat likes to eat them. You hear him crunching and it's horrible. So I'm trying to keep that line of symmetry running down my drawing. This is if you're doing insects. If you're doing something else, That's fine. I'm doing a beetle here. Then we've got the wings. So it's breaking this beetle down all into simple shapes. Actually, I won't do the wings. I'll just do it little antennae and things. And shade those into. I might leave a little highlight for those. And then they have prongs that come out like this, and shade those in. Trying to keep the symmetry, trying to keep the shapes on one side of the paper in the same position as the other side. I don't know whether you can see my beetle so far. Let me bring it a little bit closer. So really simplifying the shapes, breaking them down, not worrying about the whole beetle. I'm going to put its wing in here, goes down, and then I'm going to join it to my point that I'd already marked on my paper. Oh, my line's gone a bit dodgy there. Let me straighten that up. Notice how I'm not panicking, not worrying that I've made a mistake. I can deal with it later. We might even be able to turn it into something. Don't worry. And then draw a nice straight line going down there, like that. So I'm just building up my drawing over the top of these lovely colourful patterns. And then I don't need to worry about colouring in my beetle. Oh, there's a really loud motorbike. I'm going to do its leg, breaking down these shapes. Now, the beetle has lots of little triangles like this. Oh, triangles with the tops, points, the vertices cut off. There we go. And then it's got like claws like that. Let me bring that a little bit closer for you. So I'm just working straight over the top with a line drawing in pencil. Now I'm going to do exactly the same on this side, breaking down those shapes. Hi Gemma, I've just noticed you're watching. It seems a bit odd when I say that. I can see you watching, Gemma. I hope you're okay. I hope you're all okay. I'll say it seems to be going on forever. Yeah, it hasn't been that long, but I think everyone has their good and bad days at the minute, don't we? I felt very claustrophobic yesterday. Today I feel a lot better for doing some art. We went out first thing in the morning as well for a little jog. And that certainly made me feel like I was outdoors and not confined. There's my 2 beetle arms so far. Hi Ali! I can see you watching. Right then. So I've got this section. I'm going to shade this. So I'm going to add some shading to the top of its arm here in little circles like I was showing you before. Getting lighter as I get to the center, just to give it some shape. So shading is all about having a basic shape, like a 2-dimensional shape, and trying to make it look more 3-dimensional. Not so flat on the paper. So I'm just doing it all down one side. And there's my first arm. You can use your finger if you want to smudge it a little bit. Being careful not to And then I can move on to my other side. I'm using little circles to shade, pressing harder where I want it darker and taking the pressure off my pencil to get lighter. So you can definitely have a go at some shading today if you want to. Or you can just keep it really nice and simple with your colourful background. Okay, I'm also going to put some pattern in. So I don't know whether you've come across Zentangles before. I have mentioned them, I think, in a previous week. Zentangles are where you, again, break down the shape. So it's a nice simple shape. You might break that simple shape down into more sections and then you fill them with marks, like fill it with pattern. But I'm going to do some weird kind of patterns because beetles have these lovely like shiny shapes on them. So I'm going to do some of those. They remind me of contour lines in geography. So I'm almost doing figures of eights on my beetle here. So it just adds another element to your art. And I'll do the same on this side. So like a figure of eight. And you see where I made that mistake? Doesn't matter because it's about to be covered up with this pattern. No one will know that mistake was there. They'll be like, oh, you meant to do that. I'm doing some swirly marks for my beetle there. I'm just going to carry on building her up, or him, adding some dark areas. It's really, really hard to draw vertically, but for you, I will do it. Finding it a bit tricky to get my pencil where I want it to go, but we'll get there. I'm also just going to draw some lines on the beetle here. Again, just adding some definition, just some lighter lines. So I've got dark areas of lines, I've got some soft lines. All of this builds up your lovely drawing. And as I say, you could do this in a fine liner if you wanted to. You could go over it in a fine liner if you wanted to. Let's put some shading in this area here. And because of the way I've coloured it, and we've got these lovely colours behind it, makes it naturally darker in some areas anyway to others. Like, so if you're using a reference photo, or if you're not, if you're just copying me, just try and keep the symmetry and just break down your shapes into really simple shapes. So I'm guessing, hopefully you can see that, just building up that head of the beetle here with some dark lines. So you see how when I first started drawing it, it was very simple. It had very simple shapes. And now, because I'm adding different tones of pencil, and I mean the dark and the light, it's starting to build it. Oh, a rabbit face, that's a great idea. Alice is drawing a rabbit face. So see if you can add some shading onto that rabbit face today, unless you're just enjoying doing like a cartoony version, that's absolutely fine as well. But if you're having a go at your drawing today, and improving your drawing skills, see if you can add a bit of shading So I'm doing this leg. They have very hairy legs, beetles do. And go down like that. And then another clawy bit. Let's add a bit of shading onto there as well. So I'm just choosing the same side every time. So I've got the shading right at the top here just to give it that depth. And I'm lining up, thinking, well, where's that one start? Can we do it the same on this side? Keeping that symmetry. And claws coming out here. Anyone that's a scientist might be screaming at me right now saying they're not claws. They look like claws. I'm sure there's a proper word for them. I have to research it. A bit of shading down this side of the leg. Like so. So building up my beetle slowly. But it's looking, I'm really pleased with it so far. I've got a long way to go. I might have to finish it another time. I'm going to add its other legs here. Okay, they're going to go all the way up and round, these ones are, and they dip. Like that, and then we've got these, the same as we did with the legs, these little segments. A little bit closer for you. And do this side. So trying to do exactly the same positioning, same size, as best I can for this beetle. I think beetles, drawing beetles and insects is in the year 7 breadth of study, I think. Right. So this is a good way. You could, another thing as well, if you want to do a bit more mixed media, you could do all these simple shapes by cutting them out of different coloured papers and gluing them on. So a bit like a collage. So another way of developing your art, if you want to, is do the background in collage. So cut out simple shapes and then stick them down. I'm just doing my little circles again around this edge of the beetle. Stick them down and then pen or draw over the top. It's a really good way of creating art and lots of different elements going on. Right, I'm just going to add some more shading on this side too. Oh, I can see lots of people are watching. Hi, Rebecca. Do hope you're okay. And Isla. So we're just adding some shading. So as I say, there's lots of different ways you can shade. You don't have to shade this way, where you press hard to start with and then gradually get softer. You can do it in lots of little circles like this. You can do it with line, that's called hatching. Just hatch means one line. Cross hatching, crossing the lines over, and then multi-hatching is where you do lots of different lines over the top in layers at different angles. And then we've also got the smudging technique where you do like a line like that and then you soften it. That's more of a softening. Oh, shook the table. So lots of different ways to shade there. I'm nearly finished with my beetle. I don't know how you're all doing with your drawing today, but I hope you're pleased with the background. I hope you're pleased with how it's all coming. I don't know whether I'm missing anything else. I'm just trying to look at my photo. I've got the 6 legs in there. But you can do this technique for any school project. If you're not a big fan, like I said, of colouring in, it's a really fast way of getting some colour in the background and then drawing over the top. And I hope you're pleased with it. So keep going. And next week we are going to be, oh, I tell you what we're doing next week. We're kind of doing like a Picasso face next week. So we're splitting the face up into sections. So even more abstract next week. If you want, you can, I'm going to probably use oil pastel for mine, but if you don't have oil pastel, just again, grab your felt tips, pencil crayons, whatever you've got at home. You could do it in paint if you wanted to, but I'm going to do oil pastel. Or crayons, crayons are good too. Make quick, bold colours really fast. So that is our art lesson today. I hope you've enjoyed it. We've done lots of techniques today. We've got our abstract, bold colours at the back in simple shapes. We've looked at line and we've looked at shading and adding some depth. And I hope you enjoy it. Please send me all your photos. I'd love to see what you've been up to. Please send me everything. And if you want to donate as well, don't forget, I have a PayPal. I think the link is in the details of the live. But otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed it and it is completely free. So join me next week. Thanks ever so much. Have a lovely week, guys. Take care. Bye.